If you run a business nowadays, you have a website. There's basically no way to avoid this. But even though websites have become a necessity, they have not necessarily become intuitive. And so in this video, we're going to be breaking down the absolute basics of building a website for your service-based business, what that website should look like, what it should include, and how to make sure that it's as effective as possible for the goal the website is serving. We're going to be going over all of that in this video, so make sure you stay tuned because my co-founder David is about to go over all of that.
Thank you for the intro, Connor. My name is David Sassower, and I'm the co-founder of MainPixel. At this point, I probably built about 100 websites for service business owners who are really looking to scale their online presence. And today, I'd love to go into 7 pages that are essential for most business websites. So, first page I'd love to talk about is your home page. Very obvious, but really want to go into it. I love, for Tony Robbins as a good example, how you open up and this hero section. So the front portion of it is extremely visually appealing. You're automatically captivated by it. When you go to a website and, for example, it's just white, really not too much going on, no pictures, not very visually stimulating, the first thing someone's going to want to do is click off. But when you come here, it's got the nice blue, it's got Tony smiling. I think it provides like a warm feeling that I think really the word I would use is captivates you into the website and makes you want to take the next action. Just to keep in mind, when you're building your website, you want to remember what actions you want your users to take. And so you either want them to scroll down to keep reading through the pitch or to click a button, most likely like you see like log in or start now, or maybe there'll be a button in the middle. Really think about your home page as a sales page, right? That you scroll through. Either it's like, a little landing page where it's like one little section that has the information within what we would call above the fold, so what you could see immediately. And also keep in mind, if you're going to spend any time on anything, there's this quote by David Ogilvy: when you've written your headline, you spend 80% of your advertising dollar. This is where all the website visitors are going to go. You can't guarantee that even 20% of all visitors to the site are going to go to explore, shop, coaching, whatever, but you know that anyone that clicks the link is going to end up here. So this is the next step in whatever funnel you have. So make sure you master this. This is what you should spend, as I said, 80% of your time on. Here is a bunch of different visually stimulating ideas and themes for what Tony Robbins does. Another quote. This is huge, which we'll get into another day for sure, but just to touch on it a little bit is the idea of social proof. And again, if you should spend 80% of your advertising dollar on anything, you should be doing it on social proof. You scroll down, Tony Robbins has 4 extremely famous people that most people would at least recognize, one or two, if not all of them. Let's say you've never heard of Tony Robbins. Scrolling to this website, you're going to automatically associate pretty positively with Tony Robbins and his experience because these people, like Conor McGregor, as you can see here, are speaking extremely highly of him. Scroll down. Another call to action. This links to the About page, which we're about to get into. And as you can see, it's just going to keep having more call to actions to each section of the website. So if you have 7 pages, then you should have a little blip, most likely, of all 7 pages. So coaching is one of his pages here. He mentions it. Let's go here. Program is one of his things here. He mentions it here as well. And then has a link up here. And you scroll down. And the footer, don't forget about the footer, which we're going to go into all of this more specifically another day. The footer is important. Most people actually scroll all the way to the bottom to see what's there. And so you should include a final call to action like Tony has done here and providing links to all the different resources and social medias you have. A lot of people scroll to the footer to see your social media links if they want to check you out on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatnot. So make sure that you have it listed here and very obviously are very accessible to the audience. The second most important and most common page that you will see on any website is an About page. You see About Us, My Story, something along those lines, a place where you can go to kind of relate and build rapport with your audience. Hold up a great example, Simon Sinek, if you haven't heard of him, super famous guy. I went to his website and clicked About Simon in bio, and here you can read all about what he's done, learn a little bit more about him as an individual. I always like to say for an About page, you want to keep it a little more informal for the most part. So you want to actually have a chance to tell your story, why you built the company, maybe pop a few jokes here, and really just have the audience understand your mission and why you're building this company. I think that's if I were to put it into one sentence, you want to make sure that the audience can read this and build rapport with you as the founder or as the business owner. So as we scroll down, see we have just a large glob of text, and this is extremely common. I think on our website currently we have more text than anything else on the about page, because you really want to tell a story. And a lot of the times you can either do it through a nice video that is listed through YouTube or embedded on your site, or through a long block of text, which you can have like he did here. And then you can keep scrolling to see quotes and other things about him. And remember, the goal of this page, now this page is a little less common, but still super crucial for most business owners that we work with, and it is the media page. Most business owners that we work with do a lot of speaking engagements, have a lot of press in the media, they go on news segments, they do things that bring PR to their firm, to their personal brand or whatnot. So I pulled up a great example. Mel Robbins, if you haven't heard of her, super famous author, super accomplished lady. Clicking on speaking, I think it's crucial to have this if this applies to you. Now, this is a very optional page. If this doesn't apply to you, you're just starting out, you're not in the media a lot, you haven't done any podcasts, definitely don't feel the need to include this. But if you have media presence, like in the news, podcast, whatever, definitely include this. A lot of business owners have amazing social proof, but don't actually show it on here. And you'll probably notice a common theme across everything I'm going to be talking about here and in the next videos is to very quickly show social proof. I mean, look at this. As soon as you click speaking, you see Mel Robbins in front of, this is like 10,000 people, or I don't know, 1,000 people. So you obviously believe that she knows what she's talking about. She has the big, bold words, mesmerizing, actionable, life-changing right in front of you over this. It provides just a great vibe of social proof and expertise, and you automatically build an interest into learning what she does and what really is in these books that she's selling. Now, the next page I'm going to bring up is much more common, especially for service-based businesses. If you're in the products businesses, you will say products, but if you're a service business, which is most of America, you will have a services page on your website. So pulled up this random roofing company out here in Dallas, and I love on their website, very obviously you could see services, and you can click any of these functions. Clicking on this, you could see what they do, the importance of it, and keeping call to action buttons on the site, right? You can see request inspection is the main thing this company's going for. So they have that listed as you scroll through the site, because you want to remind them, well, if you have the button listed 6 times, 5 times, it's going to be a little bit better than having it just in the top right. People might scroll past and never see it again. So that's another consistent theme, is especially if you're trying to drive sales or any sort of call to action on your website, don't be afraid to list it a few times. List it 3 times, 5 times per page. Who cares? The next example I'm going to bring up is the contact page. For this, I pulled up a great example. For those who don't know, Gary is a ginormous influencer and business individual. His company, I think, does like $500 million a year in the social media and advertising space, and one of the most famous influencers probably ever. And so on his website, I clicked on the contact page, and he did a great job at having multiple different ways to contact him and describing that, right? So I love how he literally explicitly said a few different options for getting in touch with me and the team. Very commonly, people have a form on their website they can click. They list their emails, their phone number, and listing all their social medias. I think having all of those listed on your contact page is a great way to drive conversions, because a lot of people might not want to fill out this contact form. It's very subjective to the individual. I know a lot of people who would say that, why would you have a contact form? No one ever fills this stuff out. I know a lot of people who would say the same thing about leaving your email on the website. Say, hey, contact me via my email. But a lot of people email, and a lot of people use a contact form. A lot of people will call the number if you list it. A lot of people will reach out on Instagram. You don't know. It's very dependent on a lot of different things. So feel free to leave all the main ways that you feel comfortable getting reached out to. Now, the next page I'm going to bring up is probably the most important page on the website for most business owners. This is the case studies or work page. I pulled up this example from Ogilvy, which for those who don't know is probably the most famous marketing advertising company in the world. You're a marketing and advertising firm, for example. What do you think the first question anyone's going to ask when you try to promote your product or your brand or whatnot is, oh, what work have you done, right? If you're a roofing company, what roofs have you done? If you're a plumber, how much experience do you have doing that? If you're a plastic surgeon, well, how many trials or whatever, I don't know the terminology, but how many cases have you done, right? This is the first question that anyone's going to be thinking. So again, how this is displayed changes a little bit depending on the context of the company. But for a marketing and advertising firm like this, I love how they decided to actually show each of these different examples. You can click on this one, right? It has their video and a little bit of info on it if you're interested. Now, for your case studies, make sure to think with the prospect or the potential client in mind, right? So, if you're a website design agency like myself, for example, if a prospect comes to my site, they want to see, okay, what website did you design for this individual? What were the problems they were dealing with? So describe that. Describe how you help them. Describe the length of the project. Describe their satisfaction with the project and the results of what you did for them has impacted their business, right? So, like, let's just say built a website for a landscaping company. They were able to book 10 more calls from new leads each month because of our website based on the recent data from 2024, right? Having a case study in the most detail possible seems to be the most effective and just logically sound. So make sure, depending on your company, that you have a strong case studies page that shows the scope of your work and what you've accomplished from that. Now, the last page I want to bring up is another important page on a website that doesn't get thought about enough. A blog, an insight, a newsletter, any sort of feature to allow them, and any sort of page to allow them to read a newsletter, right? So I pulled up this company, Scaling with Systems. I really like the founder, Robbie Avala. Go check out his stuff. Great stuff for marketing, especially. But if you go to his website, Scaling with Systems, then you navigate to free content at the top and you click newsletter, right? It provides a way for you to get access to this newsletter by dropping your name and your email. Now, especially if you're running ads to your site or any sort of traffic source that's leading these these viewers to your website, you're going to want to capture these leads, right? So having a page, almost as if like a landing page to your website or to your newsletter, is super crucial, which I like how he did this here. So, and he even has little scoops and versions of what's on the newsletter. So you can see this and then it kind of provides almost like a preview to the actual newsletter. So if you don't have a newsletter yet, I definitely recommend creating a blog, which is what it's called on most web development softwares, and just writing some basic stuff, right? It could be 3 paragraphs long, it could be an email, it could be really basic. I've seen it as simple as like 3 sentences on an email blast about a newest case study that they have. If you're using Wix, Squarespace, we use Framer a lot of the time. They have CMS features, which we'll get into another day, for you to be able to host blogs on your website. Super easy, super simple. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. Those are the 7 pages that are crucial for most business owners when they're building their website. And if you want any help, definitely feel free to talk to us at Main Pixel. We'd love to help you out and build the site that you love. Besides that, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.